Yes, it's the midweek edition of the program Summit. Thank God for the gift of life. My name is Banji Busari. Well, it's a wet morning in the city of Lagos here. Thank God for the weather. It's been raining cats and dogs in the last couple of days. You are welcome. It's our show, Summit, and today is going to be very explosive. Of course, you all know what is trending. I mean, the issue that is actually trending in the land. Of course, it's no longer news that the acting chairman of EFCC is actually in the eye of the storm. He's fought several battles, but currently, no one is actually sure where this battle, the current battle, is actually facing, will take him. In the last 48 hours, he's actually being faced, he's being grilled, so to speak, and he's been asked to account. Of course, it's supposed to be a normal thing. Leadership is about accountability. So what's the hue and cry about his invitation and he's being asked to face a pro panel? Of course, every leader should actually expect this to happen at one time or the other in the course of service. But then there have been so much cries about why must all the chairman or heads of the EFCC be ingloriously sent out of office. You recall that since 2003, that assumption of office of the first EFCC chairman, Nuri Badu, who actually lasted 4 years, and he left unceremoniously, followed by Farida Waziri, who also left in some controversial circumstances. Ibrahim Lamode, of course, his case was a bit mild, but of course it's not without some bruises before he left office. But this man, who has actually been vouched for by the president, as President Muhammadu Buhari, as one of the best to actually head that agency, is actually in the eye of the storm. What has actually happened? Has anything gone wrong? This is one of the issues we're actually going to look at on today's edition of the program. Of course, in the last 1 week or so, talking about the case of internet fraudster Ramon Abbas, Hush Puppy, who was actually being extradited from Dubai, where he was arrested, to US. The APC, the ruling party, has placed the kind of huge accusation at the doorstep of the opposition, that's PDP, that PDP had a kind of fraternity with this fraudster kingpin. Of course, they've been brickbats back and forth. These are the issues we're going to look at on today's edition of the program. My name once again is Banji Busari. Jomake will be joining me later on the program. But before we actually bring our guest on, let's go on a short break. Of course, when we come back, it's going to be Mainstream Summit. All right, you're welcome back. It's still Summit. November 2015 was when Ibrahim Magu actually assumed office as the acting chairman EFCC. 6 months later, he was the president actually sought his confirmation, but the Senate actually turned his nomination down, saying that, on several reasons, he was not confirmed. In 2017 or thereabouts, there was another presentation on Ibrahim Magu, that's for his confirmation as EFCC chairman. Again, it met a brick wall. There were so many reports actually indicting him for his position as the chairman of EFCC. Particularly from his constituency, that's a Directorate of Secret Service, that's DSS. And questions are asked, even from his constituency, if these things are coming, then there's a need to be worried. But the man has continued in office, perhaps the longest serving EFCC chairman, though not confirmed. 4 years, 8 months as a date. 2 days ago, questions are asked whether that would be the last day in office, because he was actually arrested in court on his way to office, and they brought before a panel, a presidential panel, to actually account for his stewardship so far, particularly on 22 allegations that trailing his stewardship. That's the story as we speak. Even till now, he's still being grilled. Today on the program, I have eminent, highly qualified personalities to actually help dissect the issues. Who is Ibrahim Magu? What has been his stewardship so far? Has he done anything worthy of being nailed, or should he actually be sent out? The AGF of the Federation is actually at the helm of this we call it agenda to get Magu out of office, with his nominations combined with the allegations before the panel. This morning I have joining me on the program two qualified public affairs analysts, and incidentally they are legal practitioners, eminent ones at that. Let me start from my left here. Barrister Justice Ufegu. It's my pleasure to have you here. He's a human rights lawyer and also a vice presidential candidate of National Action Council during the last presidential election, that's 2019.
Yes.
It's my pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure once more.
On my right, equally very, very eminent legal practitioner. I'm talking about Barrister Wale Ogunade. Of course, he's a known face here, the President Voters Awareness Initiative. It's my pleasure to have you here, sir.
Thank you for inviting me.
How do I start? The tenure of Ibrahim Magu has actually been fraught with several challenges. He was not confirmed by the Senate twice, and he has had a kind of running battles, several of them. But from Nuhu Ribadu to even his tenure, are we seeing anything new about the ways the chairman of EFCC have run affairs? Nuhu Ribadu, for instance, was accused of non-declaration of assets. As at the time he was to be sent out of the office. Now this one is also being alleged to be corrupt. How can you be corrupt and be probing corrupt people? Let me start from you. How do you see all this has been happening in the last 48 hours? Did you expect it?
I expected it, and even longer, long time than this. And what did I say longer and long time? Don't forget that Nigeria particularly thrives in questionable deals and corruption and all the vices. You see that people promote things like this, corruption, in high places, particularly among the civil servants and the political class. Budgets are set up, presented, and the implementation is nothing. You can't see anything. And I'll go quickly to the issue of the palliatives that was released by government some few weeks ago or some few months ago. We only heard that the palliatives were released. Large sums of money were budgeted. And as I talk to you, because I've been calling people, where are the palliatives? All over the country, a handful of people are those that are able to get or have access to it. And in fairness, I will ask you to confirm, did you get the palliative?
Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow. My brother Justice, did you get the palliative?
Like he said, maybe this tomorrow.
So that's just it. But the money has been budgeted for you and I, or even for our people. Let's even say not for us. At least there's a poor in our society, in our streets. None of them got it. So now coming back, those are the vices in the system. And no doubt, Obasanjo set up EFCC then to hunt his political enemies. Brought in Nuhu Ribadu, who did a good job of really doing the human's job, or the hatchet job, or man Friday, as we say. He did it very well. And when he was no more needed, the system uprooted him because it stepped on some toes that ought not to be stepped on. Obasanjo removed the shock, and it was dealt with. Waziri Ibrahim took over. Of course, we remember that of Lamorde. And here we are with Magu. For Magu is a special case. The three others before him were those who occupied office by a government that appointed them. And either he was working for the government or to harass the perceived enemies of the state, using corruption as a bait, as bait to deal with them. But here we have a Magu who came on stream to fight a government that wanted to fight those who are corrupt, and those who have corrupted the system, and those who are his perceived enemies. And I'm talking of the PDP class and his set of political associates. So Magu came in as a fresh with the Buhari government to fight the perceived corruption tendencies of the PDP government. And of course, he was doing it. But along the line, we observed that indeed there were several infractions.
Several infractions. I'll ask you to hold it there. Now, Title says the topic our focus this morning is this Magu suspension by the presidency. Is it a triumph of the anti-graft war? I mean, people are saying it's a fluke. It's not real. It's just as he said, that to pursue the enemies or the opposition of this government. Is it a triumph of the anti-graft war or the Kaba's victory, sort of? People are saying Kaba is actually behind this. So how do you see it?
Well, the truth is that the whole thing is laughable, in the sense like that we all knew what happened, how Magu came in the first place. Before, when his name was sent to the Senate for confirmation, we saw the drama and everything. And the same government, the same presidency insisted it must be Magu. You see, but it goes a long way to teach us a lesson in life. And like we lawyers will always say, like in the case of McFoy against U.S. Seafoods, where Lord Dennis said, you cannot place something on nothing and accept it to get balance. It will definitely collapse. Where illegality strives in a society, that is exactly what you get. This is the first time we've had an acting chairman of EFCC for so many years. I think he has even served longer than even the substantive chairman of EFCC. And nobody says anything about it. Nobody says anything wrong with it. When this man's name was submitted to the Senate, the same DSX, the same executive arm, part of the executive arm of the government, said no, gave their reasons, but the same government insisted it must be him. Then at the end of the day, which means these people have been vindicated. So at the end of the day, it is an issue of he who pays the piper, dictates the tune. Now what has happened? They have fallen apart. They are no longer attics. Because when something like this happens, I remember Chinua Achebe's book, The Things Fall Apart. No longer attics and the arrow of God. And if I combine the three of them together, that is what is playing in this administration. Since 2015, they will no longer be at ease. Things are falling apart, and it is the arrow of God. Why? Because when you form a government or form an association based on lies and propaganda, and you want to do it your own way, you want to say it must be this, at the end of the day, God will expose you people. That's exactly what is happening now. Who will believe that the mighty are falling? Who will believe that the same Magu that was said to be the best in the whole country, that this kind of things or this kind of allegation will come out in the limelight? But what you should understand is that no matter how you cover things for long, Nigerians will definitely know. What I'm trying to say is this: whether it is a cabal thing or not a cabal thing, the issue there is this: it goes a long way to teach the so-called leaders that at any point in time you must do the right thing and follow the public opinion of the people, so that you don't look stupid at the end of the day. Magu was seen as untouchable. Magu was seen as a saint and all the rest. So what are you now telling Nigerians? One way or the other. So in as much as yes, we know that he may have also stepped on toes of the cabals and all the rest. Now the question is, even since Magu became EFCC chairman, what have EFCC achieved? If not the same way of pursuing opposition and all the rest, like the precedent has already been set by that particular commission. So that has been it. So if, and you know,
of Mama Africa, come and rescue your daughter. Mama Africa, come and see the way they are torturing your daughter. Mama Africa, come and see the way they are maltreating your daughter. Your daughter is crying for help. Enough is enough for this second slavery, Mama Africa. You can't be watching your daughters cry. Mama Africa, rise! Rise to help your daughters! All African leaders, rise to help your daughters! second slavery called human trafficking. Let us be safety for all African girls. We are tired of human trafficking. Mama, mama, rise up to set the captive free now. Mama, we cry, rise up to set the captive free now. Ah, yeah, 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 Mama Africa. Mama, mama. Ah, yeah, 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 Mama Africa. Mama, mama. There are so many people right now in the world. They be captured by human traffickers. We can no longer watch these wicked people to be reaping away our future. That is number of people who could make a difference in the world and in society. Mama, mama, rise up to set the captive free now. Ah, yeah, 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 Mama Africa. Ah, yeah, 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 Mama Africa. Mama, mama. Africa leaders, where are you? Africa leaders, why are you sleeping? Your daughters are crying for help. Your daughters are dying. Arise and save your girls from human trafficking. Arise and save your girls from wickedness. They say, when you train a girl, you train a nation. But a nation looks on while a future nation are sold into slavery. Africa, when we slept and snored, why we turned our eyes away and looked on? The carriers of your future have been enticed right under our eyes into prostitution, into slavery, into human trafficking. Africa, your children have become your worst enemies because those that engage in buying and selling human beings are among us. Trafficking is evil. Traffickers are wicked. African leaders, they train your daughters. They are beating your daughters. They are killing your children. African leaders, arise and save your daughters. Judgment is coming. Judgment is near. Africa, this evil must stop. It's a freedom day for African girls. No more child labor, no more human trafficking. It's a freedom day for African girls. No more child labor, no more human trafficking. It's a freedom day for African girls. No more child labor, no more human trafficking. It's a freedom day for African girls. No more child labor, no more human trafficking.
Oh yes, it's still Summit. Apologies for the break in transmission. Technical hitch here. It's still summit, and my guests are very much around. You were making, I don't know whether you were making a point. Okay.
Yeah, well, I've made that point, but the truth there is just that, well, it's a situation of the hunter here being the hunted.
The hunter here being the hunted. Now, one of the allegations being actually alleged, that Magu committed was that he was in subordination. Let me just put it at that. You recall the era of former Minister of Justice. There was this kind of a replay, that's Andoaka. This is, I think, no Ribadu. This is a kind of replay of what happened then. As a lawyer, do you think we can have full efficiency at EFCC if all the files of maybe high-profile cases are actually submitted, maybe on request to AGF?
You know, I said in my opening intro that EFCC was set up to hunt perceived political enemies. It was an interventionist agency that eventually sought legal backing. But in seeking the legal backing, the foundation was not right. The Attorney General is the head of the body. And the Attorney General's office is a legal department. The operatives and the people who man EFCC are policemen. And policemen generally will want to take orders from their superiors, which is either the Police Service Commission or the Inspector General of Police, because to all intents and purposes, they see themselves as law officers, not as legal officers. They see themselves as law enforcement agents and not as court officials. The office of the Attorney General is strictly a law office that deals with legal matters. The office of the Inspector General of Police is strictly that of security and crime investigation and prevention. So there's a problem there. The Police Act is clear: investigating, prosecuting, arresting, investigating, and prosecuting. The office of the Attorney General and that of the legal office is that of prosecuting strictly. They don't have the power to arrest. So if the head of the EFCC is now made to report to the Attorney General, who is the servant? That's the EFCC now. Who is the servant of the Police Service Commission, or by extension, the Inspector General of Police? There's a problem. And generally, when crimes are committed, it goes first, reporting this time around, goes to the police. The Attorney General office does not have the power to arrest or to investigate. So, if a corrupt matter has been brought before the Attorney General, he will have to pass it to the EFCC or any of the agencies to carry out their job. And likewise, if he comes to the knowledge, or it comes to the knowledge of the Attorney General that a file involving this thing or this person is before the EFCC, naturally he will want to call for it to know. Don't forget that the Attorney General has what they call the power of knowledge, either to prosecute or not to prosecute. So all those things now gives the Attorney General or puts the EFCC chairman in a dire situation.
In a dire situation, you said that. In a dire situation. Now, at the point where the people are expecting two outcomes, that the Magu is actually made to face the full wrath of the law. Now, if he's found guilty of the allegations leveled against him, 22 of them. Now, or he is asked to go like his predecessors without any prosecution. Now, what are your expectations? Or what do you, this panel that has sat within the last 48 hours, what do you think his intention is? Just to get Magu out of office or to prosecute?
You see, let us get something right here. And that is the part of the problem we'll be having, especially this administration. Simplicity, I have to be realistic to you. You see, I keep on saying this, and one of the major problems I have with this administration is this. Whatever you're doing, you must do it within the ambit of the law. Nobody is above the law, including Mr. President, including the Attorney General we're talking about. And you don't go and give somebody enormous powers outside the law or the constitution. Like my brother said, I think the Attorney General is exercising some powers here which ought not to be, which is conflicting. And the law, that is what we call conflict of laws. Now, a presumed allegation has been made or leveled against the EFCC chairman. In as much as I've said about how he came in, his margins and all the rest, but let's leave it aside. If a panel was set up against him or for any allegation, was he informed either by writing, by phone call, or even by text message? With what we have today, none of these things were done. The story has it that he was going to his office when they diverted him to go to Aso Rock and face a panel. Is it supposed to be so? Somebody who is acting, whether in acting capacity or substantive capacity or anything, is it not supposed to have been written a letter telling him that a panel had been set up to investigate you, or to nobody is above the law? They have the right to set up any panel of inquiry for any reason. Now for them to, arrest him along the road, take him to Aso Rock to go and face a panel. It is not done. And why is it happening? Because similar things have been happening and nobody is saying anything, including him that is Magu. Today, he is also benefiting from that same rot. That is why we say injustice somewhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Because one day, you might be a victim of that same injustice. That is exactly what has happened today. For any mistake we make in life, there's always a price to pay. So he has also become a victim of it.
You've indirectly indicted this administration over some of its actions and inactions. But do you think or not that the president, or let me say presidency, has the capacity to actually prevent what is currently happening? If they actually intend to shield, cover, and then protect the current acting chairman.
Of course.
If it's possible, is it possible or not?
Why not? You and I know that.
I'm asking you.
It is. We are in an era where you just take the president or whoever in the Aso Rock to say, drop this matter.
So if he's not doing that, does that not show to you that the anti-graft war is on course?
Which course? There is an interest.
How?
There is an interest somewhere there, because if you look at the whole thing, they are talking about insubordination. Where is insubordination coming from? Maybe that he's not reporting to the Attorney General. By law, is he supposed to report to the Attorney General? Is EFCC an arm of the Attorney General's office? The answer is no. So this is power play and an issue of interest. So that is exactly what we're experiencing in this country since this administration, and it goes a long way every time to jam-pack them and hit them from the back. That's exactly what is happening, and it will continue happening until we get it right, until we do the right thing, until we follow the law, until we follow things strictly say so the way it should be.
While certain people are actually celebrating the arrest or the suspension of Magu, some people have actually kicked against this, saying that, just as you rightly said. But let's look at the chairmanship of the panel, that's Justice Ayo Salami. The opposition is saying that Justice Ayo Salami is not also qualified to help because of his maybe fraternity or whatever with the ruling party in the past. What's your view about the composition and the headship of that panel?
Well, before I answer that, I quickly want to create an impression that created by my brother here. The Office of the Attorney General is in charge of all investigating authorities and institutions, agencies in Nigeria as it is now. EFCC, ICPC, Code of Conduct, Practice. So all of them are under the office of
the AGF,
because it's the chief law officer. You know, that's what I made. That's why I made that analogy a little in my explanation some few minutes ago, that's a confusion. And instead of him and such other persons who have occupied that office to submit to the authority of the Inspector General of Police, they are made to be under the office of the Attorney General, which only God knows why they did that. But be that as it may, I just want to correct that so that we don't go away with that mistake. Because the law is clear, there are enabling decrees act that set it up. So now to your question about the composition. Ayo Salami, I have related with him, I've appeared before him before, and I know he's somebody of proven integrity and character. And if the opposition says that, why is he a member of the panel? Obviously, it is we Nigerians and those who belong to a particular group that will be empaneled in a group. Obviously, PDP or any other party cannot expect the president to pick somebody who is out of it. If Ayo Salami is a member of APC, but he's found that he's been given a national assignment, his duty is to do it very well. If he does not do it very well, history will not be fair on him. It's just like this Maguma. You've been given an assignment. Yours is to do and carry out your assignment rightly. I see any assignment given as that of honesty, probity, and trust. As a lawyer, people come to me. And we know that there are some times that people will say, lawyers compromise matters. There are some of us who don't compromise matters. We do our job and allow for posterity to go. That's why maybe you keep on calling some of us. Why? Because of the integrity. So integrity is there. And I don't think people like Ayo Salami and this time, who is known for such thing, will now want to compromise. So we'll do a clean job, and I believe that it is because they know that he's going to do a thorough job. That's why he's made the panel and the chairman. Don't forget that some few months ago, maybe this government, he was made a member of the panel, and he rescued himself because he said he does not want to be involved in such thing. So if this time around he now takes it, it means that he wants to do a good job. And I don't think it should be turned into a political thing. You see, I want to use this opportunity to talk to people and to advise people. And that's why good people run away and shy away from taking appointments and helping this country. This morning, I'm a pastor, and before I left home this morning, we have a devotional, that's we call it Open Heavens, through which we talk. And our Father in the Lord, Baba Adeboye, raised the prayer point that we should pray for our nation, and that people who have God-fearing and who are honest, and of course it took us to the book of 1 Timothy 2:1-4, that we should pray for those in authority. But apart from that, we should pray for people who are fearless, who are godly, that will rule and take check of the affairs of the country. You find out that when godly people don't handle situations in the country, you find out that things go wrong. And that's why good people sometimes stay away, because you find out that they come to take office and they are now messed up, they are now dirtied, their reputation is being thrown to the mud. And obviously, it will not encourage others like us to want to go into public office.
All right, I know that you cannot discountenance the role of followership too. As much as you want to give followership is also key.
We'll go there because if I want to address that, you see, there are sometimes...
That's the topic for another day. That'll be a topic for another day. Now, Magu's suspension, would you say that's the road to his exit, final exit from the commission?
When somebody is suspended, what do you... In fact, we are Nigerians. We know what has always followed after suspension. So suspension, I believe, is a one layer out.
Are you rejoicing?
No. Why should I rejoice? Am I rejoicing that things are not going well in my country?
No, that he's being shown the way out.
Let me tell you, when the issue of Magu came up, then at the National Assembly, I said something. Can Nigerians know? I said, must he be Magu? Is Magu the only person that can handle this?
So what's the person, if in case he's shown the way out, what kind of replacement, what's the personnel, what kind of individual, in terms of pedigree, do you expect? Because nominations are already...
But I don't know for you. Somebody like me, I'm fit for that job. And some of us that have interacted with ourselves, like my brother, you see, let me tell you one thing.
But are you curious that even the last 4 chairmen have been policemen, people with the police background?
I'm coming now. I don't know whether there is any law that says they must be policemen. But the issue here is this. We are talking about people with integrity, impeccable character, honesty. Unfortunately, we no longer consider these things in this country before even giving ordinary appointment, even before even appointing ministers, SAs, EAs, directors, heads of parastatals, and all the rest. Nobody considers all these things again.
Bishop Buhari did not consider that for vouching for him.
He did not. If he had considered it, when the report came up from DSS, he could have dropped Magu. But he insisted it must be Magu. So, but today, what it means that the DSS and the Senate have been vindicated. That is what we are saying. What I'm saying here. So it's not a matter. It's just like what my brother said. Well, like when what I said last time. I said that by right and even by law, he's not supposed to be reporting to the Attorney General. But in as much as the law made it that way, but when you look at, that's why you will always see conflict. Like he said, you just like when you put a military, you remember what happened? I think is it the customs man. And the National Assembly, the controller of customs. You see, these people always see themselves. They call you bloody civilian. A policeman will call you bloody civilian. A policeman that is living with you in the same area, they will call you a bloody civilian. An enemy man will call you a bloody civilian. You see, the orientation here is quite different from what you get outside here in the Western world. So that is where we are having the problem. So it's not a matter of being happy or not being. It's a matter of, can we actually do the right thing? Can we actually begin to look at, in fact, I love what is happening. If you go here, because it has to teach our so-called leaders or people that are coming in not to look at faces or political loyalism or to settle politicians or brotherhood or for appointment. Look at technocrats who can move your state and the country forward.
Thank you. On a parting note, Magu, from what he has said, from suspension, he may not return. Do you not see this? Some people do not think, or now some people are actually celebrating, or this is rather a plot to get Magu out of the way for certain things to happen.
In my opening statement, I said that there is no way that there won't be evil people in the land. And the typical Yoruba would say that those who do evil are far, far, far more than those who do good.
Really?
That's it, because you see that many people are really, they want things to get bad, get worse, for systems not to operate so that they will take advantage.
So what are you also not seeing ambition to be the next EFCC chairman? You said
no, I've already told you.
People like you. You spoke about people not offering themselves for leadership.
I'm taking my line. If I want to be in politics, I would have been a long time ago. I've taken my line. I work for God. I'm a pastor, and all we do, just as I quoted some few seconds ago, is to pray for a nation, for people like him to come up. You see, in Nigeria,
the nominations that have been made
in Nigeria,
the nominations that have been made by the AGF, for instance, are you not curious that all of them are actually skewed towards a particular region? And the past EFCC chairmen have come from that region. Are you not curious?
That's one of the advocacy that we'll look at now. That if these people from this part of the nation has failed us, then we must try. That's the advocacy we'll set up now. That if this set of people, the past leaders of this agency, has failed us, because the other side too, the Northerners have been calling that indeed a particular agency, particularly Nimasa and Co, has been headed by a particular group of people, and they have been failing, and so it must move to the other side. So the same thing now I'm advocating, and this is a serious one, that EFCC now the leadership of EFCC should come to the south. It has been dominated by people in the north. Look, Nigeria, God has blessed us as a country.
I think we should leave it there so that we are not yanked up. I'd like to sincerely thank you, for your patience, even when we had a hitch in the media. Barrister Huegu, thank you very much.
Thank you. It is
a human rights activist, and I pray you will not relent in efforts to see a new dawn in Nigeria.
We'll keep on trying our best.
Thank you very much, Barrister Gwade, President Voters Awareness Initiative. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great week. Well, that's the show today. My name is Banji Busari. See you again very soon.